Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr were, in the end, mortal enemies, but before that, they were law partners in a company they founded together. They became lawyers despite the fact that neither of them ever went to law school. Burr did get a college degree, a Bachelor of Arts degree from what is now Princeton University, at the age of 16. Hamilton went to what's now called Columbia University, but he never got a degree. Times have changed. So has the education system in many, many ways. Education is the magic bullet. So says the Democratic Party, and especially progressives, and they've been saying it for decades, and they're right. And yet, the more Democrats pound on education, the more it proves to be both a policy flop and a political disaster area. Is it possible that we've been getting the issue all wrong? Have we been aiming our magic bullet at the wrong target? And if so, where should we aim it? Getting the magic bullet issue of higher education right is the topic for this episode of Progressive Solutions. Fully examining our education system, or systems, will in the end take several parts because the issue is too big for just one video. For this video, I'm concentrating on one specific area of political focus in the hope of redirecting progressive views, goals, and messaging. I know this video is going to be provocative, that's intentional, and I want to know what you think. Did you like the idea or didn't you? And if so, what did or didn't you like? What other solutions do you have? Let me know in the comments below. How often have you heard a politician, particularly a Democratic politician, say that getting a college education is the key to success? It's a constant drumbeat. Recently, many Democrats have been practically tripping over themselves and each other with competing proposals to make college more affordable. Free tuition, or at least free for those who can't afford to pay, forgiving student loans and lower rates for new student loans, more access to college in general, cutting administrative costs. These are the proposals we've been seeing. The problem is that while progressives focus like a laser beam on a college education, 2/3 of Americans aren't going to get a college degree, and no matter what we do, that number is never going to get much higher. For the vast majority of Americans, a college degree isn't in the cards. Even with free tuition, almost half of high school graduates can't afford to spend another 4 years not earning a living. They need a job, and they need it now. For many other high school graduates, another 4 years in a classroom just makes them shudder. They need to move on to gain experiences that they know will serve them through their life, because classrooms just aren't it. Still more graduates just don't see the point of college. Their passion might be in an area where a college degree wouldn't make a difference. The message most Americans hear from Democrats, and especially from progressives, is that because they don't have a college degree, they're losers. And their natural response is we can take our mania for college degrees and shove it where the sun don't shine. There was a time when a person could make a decent living and raise a family without even so much as a high school diploma. Those days are almost certainly gone, but is a college education necessary to be able to achieve the American dream? And should it be? It's not. There are plenty of ways to be successful without setting foot on a college campus. And we need not only to talk about these ways, but also to expand the pathways to success and the opportunities to get on those pathways. Some Democrats have already noticed this, so they're adding technical or vocational schools to their four-year colleges on their list of places to go to be successful, and some are also including community colleges. But these alternatives are mostly inserted as an afterthought to avoid appearing to be an elitist, and so it doesn't work. It doesn't work because the message is still the same and everybody knows it. Get a college degree or you're a loser. Perhaps that's why poll after poll show that most Americans without college degrees tend to vote Republican. In 2016, I was a field organizer for Pramila Jayapal's campaign for Congress. Side note, she won. Late in the campaign, about a week or two before Election Day, I was canvassing and I got into a discussion with a man in his late 30s. He had been in and out of legal trouble since he was a teenager, and this was the first time he'd ever been able to vote in his life. Every time he was released from jail, the only work he could find was as an occasional day laborer. So he ended up doing things to earn a living that got him back into trouble. He was thrilled about being able to vote finally. Interestingly, he was also very happy about his current situation. And when I asked him what work he was doing, he told me that he was in a carpentry pre-apprenticeship program. I got very excited about this, partly for his sake, but also because I could tell him that Pramila Jayapal, who was a state senator at the time, got the funding for that program. This wasn't a college program or even community college, and it wasn't a technical or vocational school. And yet, this program was giving this person and a lot of other people who had been considered losers their entire adult lives a chance to be winners. And he was loving it. If he had had this opportunity back in his high school days, if he had had the option, since college probably wasn't available to him, to come out of high school and into a program that gave him skills that he could build a career on, he might never have gotten into trouble in the first place. We need to make pre-apprenticeships and other similar programs available to high school graduates and even to high school students. Many high schools are already creating ways for kids to emphasize an area of study, a sort of a major. But public schools can only do so much under the current system. We need to look at ways to expand these possibilities, both inside schools and outside of them. Most technical, sales, or creative jobs can be learned far better through apprenticeships or entry-level jobs than through a college program. So can jobs in industries from forestry to manufacturing to construction to transportation to, well, the list goes on and on. For a high school graduate or student, an apprenticeship costs a lot less than even a community college. And if apprenticeships paid even a low wage, well, a lot more kids could afford them. This system can also go a long way to restoring a sense of loyalty, and it works in both directions. If a business helps somebody to gain skills, that business is much more likely to want to keep that person on and even promote the ones who demonstrate potential. On the other side, a young adult who is given this opportunity by a business and has the possibility of working their way up, they're much more likely to stay with the company that they started with. These days, the average worker is expected to work for 15 different companies over their lifetime. The enormous cost of all this personnel turnover, it's hurting productivity, it's hurting customer relationships, and it's hurting the bottom line. A system that increases loyalty in both directions will have tremendous side benefits. Now, there are a lot of jobs that require a college degree or even more. If you want to be a doctor, for instance, high school education isn't even a start. Even an undergraduate degree just barely scratches the surface. But there are a lot of jobs and a lot of businesses that require a college degree just for entry level, even though there's no reason for that requirement. It's an elitist attitude. It's designed more to keep people out than to get the truly best and brightest. Not requiring a college degree for jobs that, well, don't really require one to be able to do the job. Any business that changes their approach this way, they're going to find a lot of better potential employees. Another thing we could do is bring hiring managers into schools to teach kids how to get the starter jobs in various aspects of business management. They could also find and nurture kids who have a talent and a passion for a career in business. The reason a lot of kids, especially from wealthy families, go to elite colleges isn't because they get a great education at those colleges. It's because they make contacts, they network. Kids from elite families meet classmates from other elite families and also their classmates' parents. Those parents can get them summer internships that connect them with even more people. Through these contacts, they learn how to behave in a way that endears them to hiring managers and to upper management. These kids get on the ladder to success and work their way up, and eventually, even if they really have no idea what they're doing, a lot of them end up with multi-million-dollar positions as board members of major corporations, all because of the contacts they made as teenagers. If a business that currently hires only kids who graduate from elite colleges and graduate schools were to start earlier, going into high schools and recruiting kids out of them and training them for those jobs, they'd reap great rewards. In the first place, they'd have a much wider pool of talent to choose from. In the second place, by bringing these young people in early and training them and working them up through the ranks, instead of just hiring MBAs at middle management levels, by the time these kids get to middle management, usually at the same or even a younger age than the MBAs, these kids will know far better how business decisions affect operations. They'll be able to help the business much more. These are all avenues by which people can achieve the American dream and be considered winners without even setting foot on a college campus. If progressives focused on opening up new avenues to success instead of just on getting a college degree, we'd be telling a lot more people that they're winners rather than losers. We'd be able to shed that elitist image, and we'd get a lot more support for our issues and our candidates. So how do we get started? Well, one idea would be to reach out to high school guidance counselors and local boards of education and superintendents. Find out what local schools are already doing. A lot of them are already making big changes. Ask what plans they have to shift to a 21st century education system. Also, talk with local and state elected officials. These reforms can't really be implemented at a national level. They have to come district by district, city by city, state by state. Heck, if your school district doesn't offer these opportunities and doesn't want to, run for school board yourself. Get the message out to the voters. Force entrenched interests to confront the new reality. If progressives open up new avenues for people to be winners, we can bring back tens of millions of voters and win elections at all levels. In this regard, education, or rather, the right approach to education, is the magic bullet. If you liked this video, or even if you're not sure but it's making you think, hit that thumbs up button below. Also, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell so that you'll be notified as more videos are released. And help spread the word. There are a lot of progressive solutions. Thanks for watching. Stay progressive.